second annual Thanks for Writing Halloween Special!
Ha ha ha! Guess who, coaster holes?
The reels have stopped. Holy hell! It's Lucifer himself right in our studio.
Don't bother. I've melted the tape.
Why did you do that? Yeah, that's a piece of Thanks for Writing gold you just destroyed.
Or like, thanks for whining. All you do is complain. Disney World is so expensive. Busch Gardens Williamsburg was so much better in the 90s. Everything today is awful. Ha! You know what was better in the 90s? The 1690s, when I orchestrated human burnings for fear that they were witches. Ah, no one listens to this crap anyway.
Hey, take it easy. We have subscribers. We don't beg for views and likes like some do.
And we say a lot of positive things as well when warranted.
We like to think we tell it like it is.
Why are you coming after us?
It's time to put real fear back in the mix. I'm starting with my holiday, Halloween. It's become a joke, all about having fun. This pitiful excuse for a Halloween episode of a podcast is a prime example. What you released last year was just embarrassing. I'm going to inject some real evil into this Halloween. How, you ask? It will all be a surprise. But let the fear begin now as I make my announcement to all.
And you chose Thanks for Writing to make your announcement?
TPR kept deleting my posts, saying I was a leech.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
My first act of evil to show that I'm not playing around will be to take the souls of you two. Anyone that knows you will probably thank me. Ha 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 ha! Thanks for dying! That's pretty good.
That's awful. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Shut up! And prepare for an eternity in hell.
But you haven't heard our review of King's Dominion's Halloween Haunt for 2014.
We have some real good points and analysis.
Sit back and listen. Give it a chance. You might learn something, and you just might like it.
Now that's funny. Prepare for...
Wait! Ho, ho, ho! You better watch out. He sees you when you're sleeping. That's when he comes a-creeping. It's Santa Claus.
Oh no. What do you want?
Give the boys a chance. They've been on my good list almost every year and did a wonderful Christmas episode when no one's really talking about those events. And they really like Halloween and respect your work. I know they do. Isn't that right, boys? Right on.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. They can have one last discussion while I listen from hell. But if I don't like it, I'm taking their souls.
I'll see you soon, Lou. Never underestimate the power of Santa Claus and his North Pole. Take it away, boys. King's Dominion's Halloween Haunt, 2014.
We did it. We were there.
This was Halloween Haunt 8 for King's Dominion. We have done Dorney Park's Halloween Haunt many times. There are a lot of differences, but I think there are even more similarities between the parks as far as the Halloween Haunt events go. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, what we've seen at Dorney Park over the years has been great. And it's one of our favorites. So we really like the Halloween Haunt concept and what Cedar Fair does with Halloween at their parks. So this year we were determined, this was something we decided on back at the beginning of the season, back in the spring. We decided, because it initially came out of the fact that we definitely wanted to see King's Dominion in this 40th anniversary year, to see what they put in. We knew they did the mushrooms, they spruced a lot of stuff up, and we really wanted to see that. And then we just had the idea, well, why don't we just wait till October and we'll also see Halloween Haunt. So that's what we did. And put on your eyeliner, dye your hair jet black, put in the fangs, and get ready for the Thanks for Writing King's Dominion Halloween Haunt 2014 review.
You should help pour gore under the fangs, all right? What a dick.
There were definitely a couple of cool showpieces that they placed around the park. In particular, what comes to mind for me are the skull rock kind of thing. It's kind of an actual skull on top of a pile of rocks, and waterfall that already exists. It's at the entrance to Old Virginia. As you're crossing that bridge there into Old Virginia, to the right, there is a nice rock formation waterfall, and they put a giant skull there, and then when it did become night, they lit it up really cool, and that looked really awesome.
Yeah, that looked great.
That was a great showpiece. And then they had not one, but two giant spiders.
Yeah, these things were really big.
One they put out in front of the Blue Ridge Tollway, which is the antique cars. And then the second one was next to the Floral Clock, which actually just returned this year as part of the 40th. And those they didn't do anything, but they looked really cool.
Yeah, they were just the sheer size of them was impressive.
So those are out there. And then other than that, though, and then the fact that when you're walking around during the day, you see the entrances. Just about every one of the haunts had a pretty decent-sized facade. And a couple of them had, like, cars out in front or something. But other than that, it wasn't too much to core.
No, during the day, they did a good job, I think, of keeping things pretty low-key. At night, you know, all the colored lights come on, all the fog gets pumped out, and things look decent enough. But no, but they didn't go crazy with all the decorations around the park.
One other thing was that at the very front entrance, the front entrance garden.
Yeah, that was
a
cool
bunch
looking.
of figures, zombie figures, and headstones for the past rides.
Yeah, they did that there, which I always love. I love it when a park during Halloween season does a graveyard that is an ode to past attractions. I love that.
Yeah, the graveyard of lost rides.
Yeah.
I was happy to see that Jeep Wranglers had a tombstone.
All right.
Sorry, I had to get that in. Jeep Wranglers.
I made a mistake. All right.
Jeep Wranglers. Like, you mean Jeep Rangers?
Yeah, Jeep Rangers.
So yeah, all right. So that was all cool, but so they didn't go overboard. Although personally, I don't really mind. Actually, I think it was fine. In fact, I kind of like that better. The more I think about it, than the usually overdone Six Flags Fright Fest, where they'll put the stupid fake cobwebs on everything.
Yeah, and the net,
those nets, and then like the whatever that is, like ripped stocking style web, and they put it on every building as soon as you walk into the park. And they didn't do that on International Street or like on the base of the Eiffel Tower or anything like that, and I actually kind of like that.
They put a set of evil-looking eyes on the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Well, that's part of the nighttime.
Which, yeah, that looked cool. But other than that, yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, well, there's the ghost hanging from the
that's
bottom
right.
of the tower.
On the tower, yeah.
It's a funny-looking guy.
Look at your
you should flash
look at your screen.
Yeah.
There's a picture up right now.
There it is. Look at that schnozola.
Probably my favorite decoration that they put out was they dressed up the T-Rex in front of the what is it called? Dinosaurs Alive. In front of that attraction, they have a T-Rex out front, and they dressed it up in a witch's hat and cape, and I just thought it was the cutest looking thing I've ever seen. I'm putting up a picture right now. Look at your screen, and isn't that thing cute as a button? I loved it, and they had giant pieces of candy in front of it too. It was just great.
I got nothing on that. I don't know. Yeah, the undersized hat and the little.
Yeah, the hat was so tiny. It was.
They
just
made
perfect.
the T-Rex a little witch.
All the animals in Jurassic Park are female.
Okay, let's go through the lineup. What do they have? Let's go through the scare zones first. Cleaver Brothers Carnival, which
What?
is the
What was that?
yeah, it's not Carnival or Circus Psycho or Psycho Circus or anything like that. It's a totally different name.
Wow, Cleaver Brothers. All right, whatever.
Not even Carnival, just regular Carnival.
Okay.
So that's their clown-themed scare zone. That's by,
That's in Candy Apple Grove.
there you go. A very big scare zone.
Yeah, it's a big area. It's just a big midway.
Yeah. Necropolis.
Oh, that was the barely there right side of the park.
Yeah, that ran...
right side after the hub, after the tower hub, and then...
Right, from about where the old motion action theater, from about there to the flume, the log flume. Roughly that
Right,
stretch.
well, yeah, to the bridge right before the log flume.
Yeah. So that was generic graveyard theme. And they also have the lair. The lair is located inside the arbor, the structure that the plants grow over, the vines that you walk through. It's like a little plant tunnel in, is that still Old Virginia, that section?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. It's in there.
Famously, George Segal. Why did I say that so weird?
Steven Seagal.
George Segal?
Yeah.
Steven Seagal or George Segal? Famously, George Segal, in Roller Coaster, left the briefcase on one side of that. I guess the tower side of the arbor.
Okay, then there's also Ironworks with an X.
Makes it better.
That is the steampunk scare zone.
Oh, yeah.
And that was...
It's the straight back. It's after National Street, the tower, and then it's just, if you keep going straight back.
Then there's Fairy Tales.
That's, what, the former Nickelodeon area.
Yeah,
now it's...
Planet Snoopy.
It's the Planet Snoopy, the path that runs right next to the theater. That big outdoor theater.
And then the last scare zone is Primeval, the Kuru Curse.
Or Primeval,
Primeval.
if you're British.
Sure. The Curse Kuru. That was...
What?
No, the Kuru Curse is the sort of subtitle to that.
That's a cannibal.
But that was, right, that was the...
Cannibal theme.
Cannibal-themed area right at the entrance of the Volcano Plaza.
So, alright, so how many is that?
6.
Alright, so they put up 6 scare zones throughout the park.
6 sexy scare zones.
Alright, you. Good coverage.
Yes, yeah, every major area of the park had a scare zone. Except for the very front, I guess, International Street.
Yeah, they don't do anything with International Street, which I think is good.
Which is fine, yeah, that's your safe zone.
Yeah, I like that. You know, they didn't, under the tower.
So
International Street and the hub of the scare zones. I think we were in agreement the day we were there. Least effective one, Ironworks.
Ironworks? Okay. Yeah.
All right, we got it.
Yeah, steampunk.
Well, first of all, yeah, right. You have a personal thing with steampunk.
Well, I think steampunk is just stupid. I don't particularly care for anything steampunk. So,
well, what do you say?
Thanks for writing.
No. We're do this.
Steampunk.
I hate that shit!
Steampunk is not inherently scary, so I don't understand why it was in this Halloween event.
Yeah, well, they did kind of a twist on it, where it's almost, from what I could tell from the couple of characters that were there, it was sort of a mad scientist doing steampunk experiments on people kind of thing. It's like one person had like a bionic eye or something.
Oh, okay.
But it was bad. I mean, all of them. I mean, I don't think we're gonna really dissect the costumes here or the makeup. There was some decent ones, and then there was some really cheesy masks. You know, obvious masks. So, but I think that's all Halloween events outside Universal, pretty much.
Yeah, some are gonna get a great makeup job, and some are just gonna have a mask.
So it's not even that. It's just steampunk. Yeah, it's a theme. It was kind of weird. But then they didn't do much with the zone. There's not a lot of fog. The few obstacles they put up in the path where characters could hide behind, or just to make you have to walk around to set up scare opportunities. There were just a couple, and they were very spread out.
Right. There were people sitting on benches, not characters, but guests in the park. They were just sitting on benches in that scare zone, just hanging out.
Yeah, that's how sparse and how much little there was going on there.
And
I was disappointed because I did not see steam-powered giraffe. All day, as soon as we saw it, right? It was going to be a steampunk themed one. I was like,
yeah.
I'm sure steam-powered giraffe's going to be in here.
Yeah, oh, boy.
And they weren't in there. So
No, they weren't.
No. All right, better luck next year.
So then, what was your favorite scare zone, Brian?
So the best, I think... It's tough. I didn't really think much of any of them. The Arbor was kind of disappointing.
I thought that was the most disappointing.
Well, that was the one we were most excited about
Yeah.
from the daytime, because we saw that they did that, oh wow, they put that almost car wash style stuff, rubber strips.
Black rubber strips. They tried to
on
cover
each sides.
the entrances.
So you could walk through it, but yet it would be covered from light.
Right.
And we saw that they did that, and they had fog machines and strobes hidden in there. So we were thinking by the time it was night, this would be an awesome scare zone, and then it just didn't deliver.
No. Yeah, it wasn't dark enough. And again, well, with all these scare zones, it's understaffed. But if they're going to put all of their ghouls in the mazes, I'm okay with that in the end.
Yeah, I agree. The mazes or haunts are... that's the meat. That's the meat of any haunt Halloween event. And I don't mind the focus being on that. If scare zones have to suffer, I'm fine with that.
So I would say, for me, my favorite scare zone was the Primeval one. The one at the entrance to the Volcano Plaza area. Because it just seemed to be... It was a very small scare zone, actually. I think there were only 2 characters in there. But it just seemed like there was a lot of fog in there, and the lights were very colorful and sort of blinding. It was kind of hard to make your way through it. It was maze-like. It was kind of confusing. And there were just there were a couple of really awesome, like, mannequins on spears.
Yeah, it had some great imagery.
Yeah.
Some really creepy, freaky imagery.
It was kind of edgy.
They had 2 human figures on spits.
Oh, that's
like
right.
over fire, over fake fire. And then they had another 2 human figures that were impaled with a spear completely vertical up from the ground, and then their lifeless bodies impaled on it, the spear going through like their center somewhere on their torso up near their heart. And yeah, it was really intense stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
And so it did have great imagery. It did have the most fog coverage, and it was all red and orange light, and it reflected off the fog, and that was cool. And I guess for that reason, that would have to be my favorite too. And then with honorable mention to the circus one.
Yeah,
the Cleaver Brothers, Candy Apple Grove. There was really no fog to speak of there.
No,
that was more just fun. It did have a few set pieces, a few static figures, which were entertaining to look at. A couple of sideshow style zombie people and stuff like that, and then and some freaky looking clowns, and then the characters were just entertaining.
Yeah,
they had Stilt Walker.
Yeah, that scare zone, it was very large, but that one seemed to have the most characters in it. I guess they knew, they were conscious that it was large, and then they needed more people in there. So that was good.
It was good coverage, and and then they just had some absurd things I've never seen before, like a character with a slide whistle.
Oh, that was great.
He was scaring people with the slide whistle.
Yeah,
which is so unassuming. You wouldn't, but yet, I guess if he sneaks up on you, he sneaks up on you. It doesn't matter what you have. That was really good. That was unique.
Yeah,
I like that.
And I liked that they had one mannequin statue with a rabbit that was pulled out of a hat, except the rabbit was torn in half. That was really graphic, and I thought that was great. That was a great twist on the old pulling a rabbit out of the hat gag. So they had a couple of edgy things at this Halloween event.
That was part of the package, I think, right? When they went to Halloween Haunt and Cedar Fair did this, that they were going to go edgier. It came with that disclaimer of it not really being for kids under 13.
Oh, right.
Like from the very beginning.
Forgot about that.
That was their concept. So, you know, it's 7 years in now, but they still are keeping to that for the most part. They really haven't softened up.
Yeah,
too much, even though in the past 7 years, a lot of things have. But Halloween Haunt is still pretty edgy.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. Yeah, good for them. Should we move on to the shows?
So I think, that about covers Scare Zones.
Okay. They had a, an awakening type show, Overlord's Resurrection at the front of the park to kick off the Halloween night. We did not see that, though. They also have Eternal Damnation, Lost Souls. I'm not sure what that is. Some sort of a rock show. I don't know. We didn't see it. They have Fright Night, which was at the bandstand right in front of the Eiffel Tower, right across the way. And we walked past when there was some sort of screaming contest going on for that show. We didn't see that, really. That show. There was Blood Drums, which we saw part of, but we had seen Blood Drums at Dorney's Halloween event. So we had seen that show before in that park. And it was the same show. People...
we saw enough of it to know it was the exact same show.
Yeah, people banging on an actual drum kit and other metal...
Steel drums,
steel
pipes,
barrels,
trash can lids, stuff like that.
They bang along to a backing track. It was kind of a cool show. It was fun. They had Skeleton Crew, which is they called it their Cirque style show.
Yeah, this is their word, not ours.
Yeah, they
actually fessed up to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
just a Cirque ripoff.
And they did the trampoline gag. If you've ever seen a Cirque du Soleil show. They do a gag where they bounce off a trampoline against a very high wall, and I'm sure they did a couple of other things. I don't know. We saw part of it. That was about it.
I don't think there was much to see there.
Yeah, we were walking past it while that Skeleton Crew was going on.
Well, it had just begun.
Yeah, and one of the what do they call them there? Team members. One of the
they don't go
employees.
Cast member, right?
Yeah.
Just one of the employees, cast members, team members.
Yeah. So she said, the show just started. You haven't missed much of anything.
Right.
And then what did you say?
To which I responded, the show could have just ended, and we still wouldn't have missed much of anything.
It wasn't directly to her face, but...
She definitely heard it, though.
Yeah, I think she probably
I said it pretty loud. One other good story, when we walked past Fright Night, at the front of the park, I thought it was interesting that there was one of the contestants was H.G. Cockenstuff.
Yeah, he was there.
If
you believe it?
Yeah, and he got himself thrown out of the park, unfortunately. You know, the contest was you had to try to scream as loud as you could. But of course, he just took it in a bad direction, and he screamed, and then, just a little bit, and then he had to inject some of his personal humor, I guess, or I don't know if it's even humor to him. It's just...
It's just the way he is.
It's just his life philosophy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just he couldn't help it.
Oh,
I'm gonna scream until I come and make you moan. Something like that.
Yeah. Yes, it was something like that.
That's horrible. We don't condone that here on this show.
No, not really. So King's Dominion, they actually use their old action motion theater to play a Halloween movie called Haunted House 3D.
Okay, yeah, some background. For those who don't know, at King's Dominion, they had a dual-sided motion theater, one of the IMAX-style ones with the big IMAX screen and just the tiered motion seats, individual, two people to each, right? Two?
Yeah, two people to each.
Yeah. To which, since, I don't know what year it was, a few years ago, they pulled the motion seats out and just put in carpeted bench seats.
Yeah, it's just a giant bench that runs the length of the theater.
So now, for Halloween Haunt, this year, they, at least on one half of the theater, they were playing a Halloween movie. And it was just called Haunted House.
Haunted House 3D, yeah.
Haunted House 3D. So not much for a title. We had no idea what this was going in, but we wanted to see it. We figured we'd check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I was glad we did.
It was very well done, actually. You're going through this haunted house from the point of view of a black cat, and you encounter all the typical haunted house type stuff. You know, they had ghosts, they had
Ghosts and goblins.
yeah,
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
demonic toys and bugs and, you know, the usual stuff. And it was very good.
Yeah, they really went far with the creepy toy gimmick.
Oh, yeah.
They went further with that than you might usually see. I like that, though. It was good.
So, yeah, we definitely recommend checking that out if you're going to King's Dominion for their Halloween
If you're
event.
there, or if you know anything more about it. What we could discern after seeing it, or even after the first couple minutes of seeing it, is that it was clearly made to be a 4D show.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But, you know, it's not a 4D theater. It's a former motion theater that's now just a movie theater, really. And so there was no 4D effects, but there was clearly spots we could tell, oh, this was supposed to be the water splash in the face. And this is supposed to be the leg ticklers. And this is supposed to be the air in the face, blast of air in the face. And this would be the blast of air, you know, behind your ears. And you could see, you know, clearly in the movie what would have been synced up with those effects. The typical 4D show effects, and they just don't have a theater like that to play it in. I'd love to see it again in a 4D theater next time.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
But it was entertaining enough that even in just the way we watched it, it was still good.
Yeah, it was.
If you get a chance, it may or may not be running in other Cedar Fair parks, I'm not sure. Check it out. It's good.
All right, should we move on to the mazes, the meat?
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we dive in and give you all the details, there are spoilers ahead. So if you haven't experienced these haunts and you plan to, just be aware that we are going to go into detail.
Wow, a spoiler alert on Thanks for Writing.
Yes.
That's got to be a first, right?
Very rare. We may have done it once before.
Okay, sure.
We will discuss Mckamey Manor and the crazy shit that they're doing with that. So look in the description to see what time code to jump ahead to.
Or just stop playing it and go fuck yourself.
Well, bless my soul, rock and roll, flying purple people eater, pigeon toed, undergrowth, flying purple people eater.
Wear short shorts.
Friendly little people eater, what a sight to see.
So we weren't able to do all of the mazes. There's a lot. There are, what, 9?
Yes, 9.
It was a very crowded night. So we didn't get a chance to do them all because King's Dominion is not a home park for us, and we're not going to leave without getting night rides on those kick-ass coasters they have, so we had to fit it all in. So, but
we missed Flight of Fear by literally 1 minute.
Oh yeah, that's something.
They closed the gate right as we walked up to it.
No, but that's good to tell people here, because it is not clearly expressed on the map and guide. Flight of Fear and Hurler close at 5 p.m. during Halloween Haunt.
Yeah, so if
we found it out the hard way. Flight of Fear closes because the queue becomes one of the haunts. Hurler closes because it sucks. So we didn't do them all, but we did a majority. We did 5 of the 9.
Ooh, I'm gonna stick my club in until there's blood. It's club blood.
We began the night with one of our personal favorites from Dorney Park that they actually no longer do. And I was so happy to see that they still do this at King's Dominion. I'm talking about Club Blood.
It's a vampire nightclub themed haunt.
Right. It's, I suppose, loosely inspired by Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
It's sort of like that.
It's, you know, or even the opening scene of Blade, the first Blade.
Okay, take your word for it.
Take your pick. Yeah.
Now they don't go so far as to actually say it's a strip club, but it's kind of inferred.
It's totally a strip club.
When you walk in,
once you go in there, you realize what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And I'm so glad they still have it here. I really thought it was done chain wide because after a couple of seasons, maybe enough people got wind of it and they were like, "Oh, that's too edgy."
So
I love it. It's a mix of sex and violence, and that's great, right? Everybody loves that.
Oh yeah,
great combination.
Excellent combination.
When it comes to horror and Halloween and horror movies.
Oh yeah,
and, you know,
the classic combo.
Yeah,
sure.
it's great. So I love that. I love that that Cedar Fair went there, and you can still get it at King's Dominion. Awesome.
And this, along with all of the other ones that we did, most of the other ones that we did, what I really loved to see was that King's Dominion told a story with each of their haunts. So when you first walk into Club Blood, you start in an alleyway, and then you move into the front of the club with the bar, then the dancing area, and then the bathrooms, and then the back area, and then you're just trying to escape. And I love that they actually told a story, and they told it very well too. It was very clear what was happening.
Just about all of them had that. They were very good at that. They definitely thought these through.
Yeah, it wasn't just, oh, this is the vampire themed one, so throw up some coffins and some black curtains and call it a day. It's like, no, they really thought it out. And the sets were excellent in all of these haunts.
Yeah, they do good work. Good set work.
And the ghouls. The ghouls were incredible. Every maze that we did was packed to the gills with ghouls. And they were so lively. They were in your face the whole time.
Yes. Club Blood was the first one we did. So it was early in the night, and I think that definitely helped.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had a lot of energy. The night was young. And yeah, they were great. This was probably overall the best cast of characters that I've seen yet, anywhere. They were all so into it. They all stayed in character. They all just did a great job.
Yeah, and talking about staying in character, you said you went to the bathroom, right?
Right.
And there was a character in there character.
It was one of the guys from the Primeval Scare Zone. So they were tribal, unsophisticated, like they didn't even speak language. They just grunted. So these tribal guys, and yes, one of them was in the bathroom, the Congo restrooms, now Safari Village restrooms, and he had, I guess, already taken whatever he took, taken his dump or taken his leak, whatever it was, and I caught him at the sink, washing his hands afterwards, but he was still in character, like playing along, like he was looking at the guy next to him, and then he was just like grunting and making noises, like like he didn't know what to do, like he was pretending like he didn't know how to use a faucet because he had never seen a sink or a modern faucet before. And then, like, the guy, by watching the guy next to him, it was like that's how he knew how to flip the actual lever on the faucet up to get the water to flow. And then he acted scared at first about the water flowing, and it just kept like making noise and like acting in the character. And so that was entertaining. That was cool.
Yeah, that's great.
To see.
They had great talent at this park.
Yeah, they definitely did. I was very pleasantly surprised about that.
So, Club Blood. How did this Club Blood compare to Dorney's Club Blood?
Right. Personally, I was very happy that the Club Blood is still existing in at least this one park. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was very good, but I didn't like it as much as Dorney's. I do think that Dorney Parks was better. One of the issues with this Club Blood at King's Dominion is the facade is about 20 yards away from the actual warehouse that the haunt takes place in. So you walk through the facade into just like an access path that goes underneath Hurler, and you can look behind you and see the backside of the facade that's not themed at all, and it totally takes you out of it. And you can just see the warehouse, just the box building just sitting there, and that's what you finally walk into when it starts. So there is that problem. Dorney, it was just the facade of the warehouse, like it should be. You just walked in and it started. But it was more than that. The actual haunt itself, I just remember at least that Dorney was all sets from beginning to end, whereas this one, it may have been a little longer, but that extra maze was just plain black plywood walls. Just, painted black plywood walls. But where the story kind of fell apart. And you were just walking through those hallways every once in a while, in between the actual sets. So that I didn't like. And then last but not least, the zombie baby birth scene. I mean, it may have been the finale of King's Dominions 2, and maybe this was also, maybe it was complained about, and they had to stop doing it. It was extremely edgy, but at Dorney Park, when they had Club Blood, the finale was a girl gives birth to a zombie baby, and then after she gives the birth to it, then she proceeds to jump up and take the obviously evil-looking offspring and pound its head against the wall of the warehouse, effectively, I guess, killing it. And that really is so dark and so edgy. And if they did have it at King's Dominion, it's gone. Otherwise, they just don't. Maybe they never had it there. But again, not having it now, I can't help but declare it a downgrade overall. Because it was just so crazy, that scene.
All right.
And all the while, she had her, what was it, like RC Cola and Oreos or something?
It was Chips Ahoy and Fanta.
Oh, Jesus, I fucked it up. Where is Mr. Muffy? I wish Mr. Muffy wasn't dead.
That's Mr. Muffy's thing, yeah. Chips Ahoy and Fanta.
Maybe we can resurrect Mr. Muffy for Halloween. Mr. Muffy Zombie. But still awesome. The main strip room scene is always awesome.
Yeah, go-go dancers in cages.
Yeah, they actually do it.
They really went for it, yeah.
It's awesome. So, a lot of fun. That was a good one.
Yep.
That was a good one.
I like that one a lot.
I mean, should we let the cat out of the bag at this point? Pretty much, they were all great. You're going to hear a lot of positive here, so strap in. Get ready for it. I know you're not used to it.
We're gonna go to the local high school and get my zombie high. It's Zombie High.
The next haunt we did was Zombie High, which is right next to Club Blood. Right in between Club Blood and Windseeker.
Yes, this utilized the part of the queue for Hypersonic XLC, and that's about it. The warehouse itself that the haunt is in is built in front of the station for Hypersonic. The station is still entirely intact behind the warehouse, which is very strange. The station and the exit ramp. Zombie High, awesome facade.
Yeah.
They actually did a high school. There's actually some motion in the facade.
Yeah.
There's at least one zombie character that completely lunges up into a window at the top of the high school. They did kind of a mini football field in the grass out front.
And they have a giant yellow school bus parked out front.
Oh, the school bus, right.
And so it looked great.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good facade. And then this one also suffers from the issue where you don't really walk into the facade, though.
Well, you walk through it, but then there's nothing behind it. You walk, there's a short stretch where there's nothing, and then you walk into a warehouse.
Well, same thing as Club Blood. Club Blood, you do walk through it, the entryway that they set up with the red carpet, but then it's not there, though.
Yeah.
The warehouse is closer for Zombie High.
Much, much closer.
Much closer, but it still is a situation where you're walking outside, behind the facade, a little bit. That is an issue at King's Dominion.
But once again, they tell a great story. You walk in, and there's a woman telling you you're late. A school teacher.
The very first character you encounter is not even really a character.
Yeah, it's just to set up a story.
She's just a teacher that's just mad at you for being late to class. So I guess that could be scary to some, especially if you're still in school.
Yeah, it could be, sure.
But, yeah. So they have that, and then the principal. Right after that, you encounter the principal.
Who's talking over a PA, telling everyone that everything will be fine. We got this.
Yeah, that was funny. Obviously, it's zombies have taken over the high school.
Yeah.
Or a zombie illness has taken over all the students or whatever. And then the madness ensues as you walk in further.
Yeah, they actually went through the different sections of a school. They had...
Yeah, it starts with, it goes to, well, so like the locker's in the hall. So it kind of starts in the halls, and then maybe there's a classroom, but then there's, did you say the science? It's like science class, there's music class.
Oh, that's right, music class, yeah.
They did gym with like a gym locker room. So yeah, you go through all the rooms. Toward the end, then there's an actual prom going on.
That was such a great idea.
So it's cool. One of the real highlights was the use of interlocked, stacked up school chairs. But they actually got real, chairs you'd see in the school, and they just and they stack them up to make barriers.
Right, to force you
go through, to force you one direction or another.
Right, and that just looked so good to see all those chairs stacked up.
I mean, it looked awesome. It was real material. It was obviously real chairs like that used, and. Yeah, just to have that, to have a physical prop that makes sense in the environment that you're in, to guide you instead of just plywood.
Right.
It makes such a difference. It was one of those moments where we actually stopped for a second and just had to look at it and enjoy it.
And some other details that were cool where they had some backpacks hanging from the ceiling, so you had to like kind of
push them out of the way.
Yeah, push them out of the way to get through them.
Yeah, that in itself is a classic haunt gag. The idea of things hanging from the ceilings you have to push out of the way. But it's great to see specific themed elements used instead of just punching bags or foam rubber in cylindrical shapes hanging from the ceiling. But actually backpacks, and then in the gym locker room they had jock straps.
I love that.
That you had to push through.
Very creative.
So that's almost like a little bit of a cringe factor.
Yeah,
it's like someone's jock strap. Like, you just don't want to touch it. So it's that element of Halloween and scariness, just kind of the gross out factor. They mix that in, so it was great. Another great haunt, right? It was almost the best. We'll get there though. We'll get to what we like the best.
Yeah, we could save that for the end.
Yeah. So Zombie High, really effective. Really worked. Again, really great characters throughout.
Yeah, loved it.
Let me inside your doll factory, and let's see what comes out. It's Doll Factory.
Okay, what was the next one we did? Was it Doll Factory?
It was Doll Factory.
Oh, okay.
Or as I like to call it, Dollhouse. After we did it, I was calling it that the rest of the night.
Yeah, and then I started to call it that subconsciously, like I didn't think about it.
But you thought it was right, too, though.
Yeah, I thought it was right, yeah.
I got you on board.
All right, so this one is a doll factory gone crazy. An evil doll factory.
The initial thought is to think that it's sort of inspired by Child's Play. Child's Play 2,
right,
in particular.
Yeah.
But a couple of the scenes kind of were, but it's not really, because it's not... In fact, it's never really explained if it's like a doll come to life to kill you, or if it's just evil people running a doll factory, or what. I don't know. That part is a little bit hazy.
Yeah, the story wasn't as strong on this one.
Yeah.
But they did try their best. It starts with a receptionist area.
Yeah, that was a common theme, the idea of an introductory room.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much
to set
every
the
haunt
stage.
we did just about had that.
And then you move into where they make the dolls, and then eventually where they're just killing people.
Yeah. Just...
And then after that, I guess that's where the story kind of falls apart. It's just these random doll things.
It's just like living dolls. It's like if they do a lot of the freeze poses.
Oh, they were very good.
Where the characters pretend that they're mannequins, but then they're...
they were very good at doing that.
They're real. And they get you at the last second.
So, another really excellent maze. Admittedly, at first, I was a little underwhelmed, but as it went on, I liked it more and more.
Yeah, it had some really good imagery. I do like the creepy doll face.
Sure.
As a thing. They did have like a doll assembly line that had gone wrong, and the parts were all mixed up, and that's where I kind of thought of Child's Play 2.
Oh, yeah.
That, and it seemed like they were kind of inferring in another room that it was kind of like the plastic melting part had gone, because there was like a giant glob of all different like doll parts, and the kind of hung in from the ceiling. Again, great characters all the way through. We haven't even mentioned that, and this is it came up a lot in the doll factory, but also really in all of them. Heavy use of mannequins. Mannequins dressed the same as the characters, so that after a while you can't tell who's real, who's not. So they use that form of misdirection a lot throughout all their haunts, which is a very effective gimmick. I like it.
Yeah, interesting, because I don't remember Dorney really doing that.
Right. I think we both remembered Lake Compounds was the place where we really saw that for the first time.
Yeah. And they do that a lot at Lake Compounds. They have a million mannequins in there. And here at King's Dominion, they also had, not as many, but still a lot. And it was very effective.
So I think in the end, by the end of our third haunt, we continued to be very impressed. We really liked it. It was getting nothing but applause. Live applause in person at the time from both of us. We really were having a good time. And we could stop here too and just also talk briefly about the capacity of these houses and how pleasantly surprised we were about that. There were some intimidating to look at lines for each of these haunts, but they were really great at getting everyone through.
I think maybe the most we waited for any haunt was 10 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I felt, for some reason, Club Blood, actually, the first one we did, felt the longest.
Yeah, it did.
That felt like 15, maybe.
Okay.
They kept putting people through. Almost Omni-Mover style.
Yeah.
Really. They did stop occasionally and break a group off and allow a little break. But for the most part, those lines, they moved.
All right, so what was the next one we did? Was it Outbreak?
I don't know, Cock and Stuff. What was it?
There's an outbreak in my pants. It's Outbreak.
Outs never broke this much.
This was the one...
We went outbroken.
Yeah. This was in the queue of Flight of Fear. The indoor portion of the queue of Flight of Fear.
Yes.
Of the ones we did, this was the weakest.
Yeah, this definitely seemed to be the oldest. I don't know for sure the history, but it seemed like this may be a leftover, maybe even from the Fear Fest days, pre-Halloween haunt, because it didn't really live up to the standards of the Halloween
really
haunt.
Didn't.
This one, the theme was a viral outbreak, right? So it's like some kind of contagion, some kind of disease, and it's affecting a population. It's never said what kind of disease it is. Although once you're in there, it's kind of inferred that it's some kind of a mutational. It's even a little more than zombie, right? People were kind of morphing into monstery things.
Well, I don't even know. It's like once you get in there, it actually felt more like an alien invasion maze than it did like a virus maze. I think it was supposed to be a viral outbreak.
Well, that's what the name.
It just seemed like
the brief description was, but
it seemed like an alien invasion type thing.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's in the queue of Flight of Fear, which is the alien invasion theme ride.
Yeah,
and I wonder. I already hypothesized that this was an older maze that goes back a bit. I wonder if that's really what it is. I wonder if it was, and they just recently just kind of changed the name to Outbroken, either this year or last year, but it really is like that's what it was built as, and they never really got around to fully changing everything out.
This one actually lacks that setup room.
It really lacks any room. It's nothing but narrow corridor. It's almost entirely narrow, black painted plywood corridor.
Yeah, this one
really
didn't really have sets. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It really felt like an older, like it's at least 10 years old. That was good enough, 10 years ago. But even the regional parks have gotten a lot better since then, especially Cedar Fair. Since 2007 they really upped their game, and this one just felt antiquated in that equation. It just felt like it's a relic of the past, and I really think they should consider for next year's Halloween haunt just ripping that one out entirely and starting again from scratch.
Yeah, they should,
because it really was lacking. Because it just didn't. There was no real sets. There was no progression of a story. It was just some isolated scares.
Yeah.
What much more can you say? Really, there wasn't much going on.
So if you're running short on time, I guess we would suggest this is one to skip.
Yeah, it was the weakest of the ones that we did. And then, what was the last one we did?
All right, no vacancy. I guess you'll have to stay in my pants. It's no vacancy.
We did No Vacancy.
No Vacancy.
This was the hotel-themed one right next to the Action Theater. This was this was another very good one. You know, you start out again like Zombie High and Club Blood. You walk through a hotel facade, but then there's a gap between the facade and the actual show building.
There's that problem again. I mean, it's really funny. They went through the expense of creating these awesome looking facades, but in really none of the cases did they figure out how to sync up the facade with the actual entrance to the haunt.
Not a huge problem. It is a problem, but not the biggest problem.
No, I mean, it didn't ruin the night for me.
No, because it did draw you. It really, it worked. It did draw us in, and it did, you know, get us excited. So anyway, No Vacancy. So you start off in a lobby area, and
they offer to take your bags.
Yeah,
it's actually like a bellhop.
Yeah, a couple of bellhops, and then you move into, I'm not sure. Eventually, you get to like the laundry room and the back of the hotel.
Yeah, it's like it starts in the lobby, and then really though the theme of this haunt is the backstage areas of a hotel, and these are all haunted and inhabited by zombies and monsters and just people trying to kill you. So it's an interesting contrast to the Mansion House Hotel haunt at Dorney Park, which is their haunted hotel, but there at Dorney Park, the Mansion House is all of the public areas of the hotel you go through. So just interesting contrast to note. I noticed it especially because I'm in the hotel business. So yeah, so it's like a luggage storage room, it's the laundry room, it's other just service areas of the hotel, that sort of thing.
Yeah, one of the coolest rooms they had was a room filled with old tube TVs, most of them tuned to static. That was cool.
Oh, that was like toward the end. Yeah, that I guess was supposed to be like the security headquarters, security central of the hotel. And then I think the final character in there was like some kind of old security guard, like some undead security guard or something that would pop out at you. So yeah, again, really good.
Another great one.
So those are the 5 that we did. What didn't we do? Just to get it out there.
Okay, we did not do Maze of Madness. That was the new maze for 2014. It appeared to be some sort of medical themed maze, and that was that took place of the Dodgems. It was in there.
All right, and then what else?
The other one that was very close to Maze of Madness was Slaughterhouse.
All right, Slaughterhouse rules.
And that was also in Candy Apple Grove, Midway area.
Yeah, we didn't get to that one.
We didn't do that one.
So it's just a slaughterhouse, slaughtering people.
Cornstalkers we did not do.
That was off International Street.
Yeah.
On the right side when you're walking in.
And the last one we really wanted to do, but did not get a chance to, was Blue Ridge Bloodbath.
Yeah, this was really cool.
Now,
or it looked really cool.
Yeah, what they did here is they turned the antique cars into a haunt, where you'd actually ride in the antique cars around the track, and I guess characters would pop out at you. And we really wanted to see what that was like.
Yeah, and apparently so did everyone else in the park that night.
Yeah. The line was very, very long. And
if you know the park, the line was through the queue, completely straight back into the main midway, and just about, a little, not quite to the Flyers, but getting there.
Yeah.
Almost getting down to the Flyers. We can only estimate that even if they're forcing 2 to 4 in every car, that would still have to be approaching 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, easily.
An hour and a half to 2 hours. We were not able to do it. That was a shame. And our consolation was a really, really awful wait to get on Rebel Yell. That's what we ended up doing instead. The time allotted for Blue Ridge Bloodbath went to that.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story. So, Andrew, what was your favorite part of Halloween Haunt? Which I'm going to assume would be one of the haunts.
Oh yeah, sure.
So really I'm asking, what was your favorite haunt?
It's tough. It's probably a toss-up between Zombie High and Dollhouse. The Dollhouse had my favorite room. The finale, the last room to the Dollhouse, was this sort of more, bigger, more open room with a lot of full-sized mannequins on strings hanging from the ceiling. And the walls were lined with mirrors, so it looked like there were a lot of dolls. And it was very dark in there. The only thing, there was just a strobe light going off. And so, of course, you didn't know which was a mannequin and which was a character.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I thought that was such an innovative, great room. My favorite room. The only thing that holds the Dollhouse back for me is that the story wasn't quite there. So, I mean, it's tough. I know it's cop-out, but those are my two favorites. It's tough to say which one in particular between Zombie High and Dollhouse was my favorite. What about you, Brian?
Okay. Well, I don't want to cop out, but I feel about the same. I know when we were there, I wanted to say that Zombie High was the best one, but I really liked the Doll Factory. I really did. Zombie High, I think, had the best... you know what? Doll Factory. I'm calling it. I'm not gonna cop out.
All right.
My favorite was Doll Factory. Because, yeah, Zombie High was very good. I was almost gonna say that was sort of the best overall in ways, but you know what? The story was a little more muddled in Doll Factory, but it had the great freeze pose character moments. The finale room was probably the single best room that we saw all night in any of the haunts, and I do like that the creepy doll face theme. That was my favorite.
There you go. So, if you're going to do one maze at King's Dominion's haunt, make sure it's the Dollhouse.
Or Doll Factory.
You got me saying Dollhouse.
The doll one. Do the doll one.
Old doll would like it.
Come on, doll.
Doesn't make any sense. Dolling.
All right.
So, final thoughts on King's Dominion's haunt 2014.
I was pleased. I was very glad we did it. I thought it was very good. I think they do a great job there. I really enjoyed the haunts. It was just enough overall park decor without being too much. The scare zones were fine. Weren't the best, but they were good enough. They did what they needed to do. I've seen better, but these were passable. They weren't subpar. I wouldn't go that far. I think they were fine. They had great sets. They had some great costumes. More importantly, they had a great cast. I think they found the right people, and that's really important. Again, I said it earlier, this is probably the best cast of characters I've ever encountered. So overall, I really liked it. It haunted me.
That's good.
Final thoughts?
I agree with everything you said. Not that I've done a lot of Halloween events in parks, but after Lake Compounce's Haunted Graveyard, this was my favorite. My second favorite overall. I really liked it. I was blown away. I thought it was a fair amount better than Dorney Park's. I thought the sets were just excellent actors. It was just very, very well done. I would definitely do it again.
See, we can be positive. It does happen.
And this is way better than anything Six Flags cooks up. So, if you're gonna do a Halloween event in a park,
Oh, yeah.
and if you're within striking distance of a Cedar Fair park, go to the Cedar Fair park.
Definitely a superior experience.
And you don't have to pay extra for the mazes.
No upcharge.
Okay, so we don't really do the independent haunts. We stick to whatever the theme parks do.
I find it hard to justify doing a haunt without a park attached. I do really thoroughly enjoy doing haunts, but my enjoyment is out of experience, just kind of experiencing, seeing the sets, interacting with the characters. I laugh a lot. I make a lot of wisecracks. I try to crack people in my group up. Sometimes I try to crack strangers up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what I do. I don't scare, though. So I don't get, like, the rush part of it, per se. I kind of need my coasters afterward, though. Because then that's my thrill after the fact. And without that, it's... I feel like the night will end kind of hollow for me. So anyway, yeah, so I'm not a fan of let's just do a haunt for a haunt's sake.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I enjoy the Halloween season. I love watching horror movies, and I really love going to these Halloween events at the parks. But it's not my favorite thing in the world to just do a haunt. So yeah, I'm the same way. I would like to have some rides thrown in there.
But that all being said, and be that as it may, there are some independent haunts these days that are going way into the extreme to try to be, I guess, the most frightening haunt experience you can ever find. And one in particular that's come to our attention recently is Mckamey Manor
in San Diego.
It's billed as the most extreme, the most scary, horrific haunt experience you can do. Yeah, I was gonna almost say like, and it may be, but no, that's wrong because it's not even a haunt.
Well, yeah, I think it actually does go beyond that. It's torture. It's not like torture. It is torture.
Yeah, basically what it is you just get kidnapped for a night and you get tortured.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 7 hours long, but apparently no one has been able to make it the entire 7 hours. There's also
this year.
This year, there's also supposed to be no safe word. You know, if you feel like things are going too far, a lot of these extreme haunts will, they'll give you a word when you want to tap out, but apparently this one doesn't have that. And this is also apparently free. They just ask that you maybe donate something.
Yeah, there's some kind of charity for Greyhound dogs. Or Greyhound buses. I'm not sure. Maybe they want you to donate fuel to Greyhound buses. I always mix those up. So, yeah, the whole thing's really weird. Kind of perverse, really. It's like, I guess this guy just wants to torture people.
Yeah. I mean,
and he does this under the guise of a Halloween thing, but it's really just the way that he can live out his fantasy of torturing people.
Without actually
going the final step of they're not actually killing people, as far as anyone knows. Anyway, as far as we know.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah,
they're not. But it's for him, and I guess whoever works. I guess the cast of this thing, and they just get these people that will agree to this, and they're agreeing to it because it's like the ultimate test of bravery, I guess, for a Halloween, not really event, just for a Halloween haunt. But it really seems like by this point now, 2014, it's just maybe there was some semblance of story and there was some other things going on years ago, and there are still other extreme level haunts that still have more of a haunt story maze component. But this one in particular, which is billed now as the most extreme, it's just deteriorated into nothing but kidnap and torture.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to it anymore.
They don't actually say what they do at Mckamey Manor, but we can discern that they're doing things like dunking people's heads underwater and beating them and choking them and doing all sorts of really horrible things.
Yeah, they force shit, like disgusting shit into your mouth. Just awful. It is too far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it is appropriate to not even call it a haunt. It is beyond that. It's this other thing.
So it doesn't interest me at all.
No, not.
I mean, in the end, I don't care that they do it. I'm not the kind of person that would. I'm not gonna say, oh, they should stop. You know, it's like, no, it's fine, whatever. If some people want to do it, it's fine, let them do it. But not for me. I have no interest. I wouldn't even want to watch it.
Yeah.
Let alone experience it. I have no interest in that.
It's fine in a movie.
It's too far for me. Yeah, it's fine in a movie when you know it's simulated, but
right.
It's too far for me. I don't want to see it in real life.
Yeah. All right, so whatever. That's Mckamey Manor.
I can't believe it. You've totally turned me. You two really make some good points and provide thoughtful, insightful analysis. I'm impressed.
So we get to keep our souls?
For now.
And what about your plan of fear and evil?
I just slashed the budget of Busch Gardens Williamsburg's Hallowstream. I'm going to see that park run into the ground.
Oh, that is scary.
And depressing.
I know. I still got it. Who do you think was behind tearing the big bad wolf out for Bolton?
I guess only Satan himself could be behind a move so evil.
I've got to run. I've got a curse to put on TPR and still have plenty of Halloween tricks to play. There's going to be tons of terrible moves made in parks across the globe for you two whiners to complain about. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of listening to it. Horrible Halloween! Thanks for riding.